Good morning. Look at this beautiful coffee that I have made myself. I like to shake the milk bottle to make it frothy on top. So I've just gotten to work and I'm going to have my coffee and make a little video before all of the parents arrive at the daycare to drop their children off. So my goal for these videos is, and I'm going to try very hard, what I would like to achieve as the creator of this content is to really keep my videos very short and sweet. I want to draw out the most purest essence of my messages and somehow get that across in a short period of time. So I'm going to be working extra hard to really hone in on what is the specific essence and message of the video I'm sharing. Today, I want to talk about independence in our children. If there's going to be a message that I would like to convey in this video, it is going to be that forcing children to become independent is a form of insecure attachment. Having a secure attachment to your child, there will be no need to teach independence because this will be a natural arising from their being. This is because the actual definition of a secure attachment is the ability for the child to feel safe enough and secure enough in the relationship with their primary parent to be able to explore their environment and their world. I work in childcare. I've worked in childcare for a few years now. I am very familiar with the need that I see in parents to push their children towards being more independent. And what I see is this is not being done through the secure attachment where the child has their needs met constantly as best as possible with that parent, and that's making them feel safe to then wander out a little bit away from the general intimate vicinity of the parent to then go and explore on their own. So independence is created through a secure attachment by the child feeling safe and secure. They know that if they walk a few meters and they turn around and look back, their parent will be there, looking at them, waiting for them, embracing their curiosity, attentive to their exploration. And if they fall over and hurt themselves, that parent is going to be there to say, you went out and explored and you learnt something from it, and I'm here to love you and shower you with compassion. I don't want to make this sound like this is the way all of us should be, because it's more likely that the majority of us parents are not going to be able to be this. We're not going to know how because it wasn't demonstrated to us. But the good news is that any insecure attachment formed from our own childhoods or that we may form with our own children is absolutely 100% repairable. It is not the end of the world. It can be reversed. And this was the case with me. I did mostly have a secure attachment to all of my children, but there were periods with my firstborn where it was a bit of an insecure attachment, where I wasn't consistent all of the time, and there could have been some trauma there. However, I did turn my life around. I did repair a lot of that with my children, and I could see that healing had occurred, and whatever traumas or whatever patterns were learned in those early relationships with them were mostly reversed or processed to a certain level of healing to where it hasn't impacted their adult lives. So what I see in the realm of childcare is these messages being sent to children: you're a big boy, you're a big girl, you can do this, you can do that. Now, what this does tend to come from families who do not spend a lot of time with their children or limited time with their children, meaning their children are in daycare, kindy, school. Now, I'm not saying to everybody has to homeschool and unschool. There are many children that can attend these places while having a secure attachment to their parent, because it's not about keeping your child home with you all of the time. It is about those first few early years of their life. How did you show up for your child? Were you there for their emotional needs? Were you mostly around for the first, say, 3 years of their lives? Or if you had to separate from them, how was that handled? Was it handled with love and compassion? Were they left with a trustworthy adult that could form a secure attachment with them, like a family member or a very trusting early childcare worker? Now, this is not going to be ideal. If you are somebody committed to fostering this secure attachment in your child, fostering independence to happen developmentally in the most natural way possible, then you are going to have to accept that you need to spend as much quality time as possible with your children. And if this is not possible, then you can just do the best you can when you are around. You are not a bad parent if you have to go to work, and if you don't feel that you have what it takes to be a stay-at-home parent, that's okay. My heart goes out to you, because not all of us can do this. Now, let's say that you can, which was the case for me. So I stayed home and raised my children while my husband went to work and earned an income for our family. Now, when my youngest was 10 years old, I and my husband started to work from home. I felt that it was a good opportunity for me to go and pursue my career goals. And I knew that they were going to be left with a trustworthy adult. And now they were all older by now. And because we had been with them this whole time, I was able to cook their food. I was able to put them to bed. I didn't feel the need to force them to learn to be independent so quickly on their own. One of the messages I want to get across is independence should be supported in children who are asking for it, not children who are still dependent on their parents and relying on their parents. And while we might see this as icky or yucky or no, we don't want you clinging to mummy and daddy, that's childish, that's babyish, you need to grow up and do these things on your own. The more we are like this, the clingier the children are going to get, because what's going to make them want to leave our presence and go and explore things for themselves is a secure, loving, warm bond. It's not going to be a pushing away. It's not going to be a disconnecting. It's not going to be a withdrawal from them on behalf of us parents, because that is going to cause anxiety in them. They're going to have an anxious attachment, or they're going to have an avoidant attachment because their emotional needs aren't being met. So the more that these emotional needs are being met in children, then the more they are going to crave independence on their own. And we are not meant to be fully independent in the world. We are meant to be interdependent, which is we are meant to have a dependent, secure relationship that we can fall back on and rely on while we explore our independence. So we need both. Both are the foundation for our independence is that dependence in a relationship. So with my children, I was always there to make them food. I was always there to help them. I never said, you have to go and do it yourself. You have to go and do it yourself. I never sent that message, because when I did, there were times that I did, something would just be different in their minds. They would just know something's not right, and that they would cling to me more, because it's like, wait a minute, my needs are not being met. So the more I met my children's needs by being there for them, helping them, and not sending them the message that they have to grow up quickly and do everything themselves, what has resulted in, as they've become teenagers and adults, they have naturally been okay on their own. So an example of this is my firstborn son. He was showing a desire to be left home alone at a young age, like I think he was 8 or 10 years old. We had moved to the country, and he said, I don't want to come out shopping. We were homeschooling then, so there was no schooling. He was able to play games and play with online friends, so we would often give him instructions for what to do, phone numbers that we would leave for him. We would make sure the place is locked up, and we would make sure we were only gone for about an hour or two and not far at all, so that he could contact us. We could race home. We were only about 5 or 10 minutes away. This felt good to me. He was asking to be left alone so that he didn't have to participate in activities he didn't want. So rather than dragging him out to be bored and upset, we allowed this. And when we'd get home, we'd find that he had made himself a sandwich. He had just been playing with his friends online. Nothing bad was ever happening. So over the years, this is how we fostered his independence. Now, a lot of people would say things to me like, how are your kids going to cook for themselves? How are they going to move out of home if they don't know how to do any of these things, if you're not making them and you're not forcing them? And I just continued to listen to my own inner voice, which was telling me, it's okay, trust, Lisa, trust, just make them their food. And my eldest was probably 18, 19. I was still cooking for him at home. And he eventually moved out with his partner. And again, his partner cooked for him, and he didn't really do a lot of cleaning, and there was that fear that what if I didn't show him? What if I wasn't a good enough parent? However, recently, he actually separated from his partner, and he's been alone. At age 24, he's been alone, and he has asked me, can you help me do my shopping? I'd like to learn how to do my own grocery shopping, and I'd like to know how to cook this and cook that and cook this. Now, it has been about a month, and he has been living alone. He has been doing his own washing. He has been paying his own rent. He has been budgeting. He has been shopping. He has been cooking himself healthy dinners every night. He has been working out and taking protein shakes. And he has been following up on bills and things that have to happen for him to be all right on his own. And I am just blown away. And I'm not doing any of this for him. I'm guiding him. He has said to me, no, I don't want you to cook me any home-cooked meals, Mum, and bring them over. I want to do this myself. So he has been learning things. He's been looking up things. And he is now fully self-sufficient, independent on his own. And this has been a wonderful learning opportunity. Now, another example I want, because I said I wasn't going to make this video long, and I'm really trying not to, but another example I want to share is that my other 3 children have always had a parent, because I didn't go to work until my youngest was 10 and my husband started working from home. We do leave them home alone though, because we go out on dinner dates, we go out on shopping trips, and they're perfectly fine on their own for a few hours. However, recently my husband has been forced to take a job outside of the home, and I was worried because like my youngest is 13 and he has always been taken care of. And I know that a lot of people would look from the outside and say that he's lazy, or that we didn't force them to be dependent young enough, and so they don't know what to do. But actually, when we're not around, he actually cooks for himself, or he will go to one of the older siblings. So he's 13. I also have a 16-year-old and a 20-year-old there. And they are all quite still dependent on us, but they do show independence as well. My 16-year-old, while we are there, he prefers to actually cook for himself. And when he asks us to start his dinner, he will quite often take over and want to finish it himself. So Dad had to work outside of the home, so there was things that had to be said, you know, this has to be taken care of. I need you to do this and that. I need the bigger kids to step up and take care of the younger ones. And yesterday was the first day. And of course, the first day that they were at home alone for an entire day, of course, I'm going to have these fears in the back of my mind because they've always had us. And of course, the power had to go out on this particular day. So they were without internet and contact with me. However, my eldest son has his own mobile phone, so he was able to text me. And I found out when I had gotten home, there was board games spread out all over the floor. The power had gone out, so they had come together and they had made up this game, and they played for about 3 or 4 hours straight. They just played board games, and apparently they were laughing and having the time of their lives. They had made all their own food. They had fed the animals. They had let the dog out. It was hot, so they had opened up the house to let the air in. They locked the house back up when the power went back on, and this was so good for them. They were thriving. And what it taught me is that this is a perfect time for them to learn more independence, because they've had that secure base for all these years. They've had that secure attachment, and it just goes to show that so with a secure attachment, what it means is as the child grows, when they are not around that primary caregiver, they still feel safe because they know that they have that secure attachment. That's why many children who are in daycare and school, they don't cope very well. They have anxiety separation, they fret. It's mostly because they don't feel secure and safe in their relationship already with their parent. Now, this isn't always the case. It's just what I've come to see through my own observations as a childcare worker. So, message of the day. It's not force that makes children independent and secure on their own. It's having a secure base, a secure attachment. And it just goes to show that for the first time my children have to fend for themselves for an entire day, they show so much strength and security and stability. It just blows my mind, and it just proves everything that I feel to be so true within myself. Wishing you all a wonderful day. Bye.